Welcome to the Eye on Elgin. Today we're here with Elgin's finest fire department. They're going to show us a little bit of the things that they do to keep people safe here.
So the way this is going to work is we're going to have 3 fire companies coming in at a time, and it replicates what we do in real life with our high-rise fire attack. So we have 3 companies that will end up on the fire floor, which gives us 6 people to initially get that first hose line in place, because high-rise fires are a very difficult, one of the most dangerous type of fires that we can encounter, primarily because, one, you're operating at such a height away from all the vehicles. It takes a lot of time to get from ground level up to the fire floor, so we kind of disperse all the equipment out amongst the 6 people that are coming up. Initially, what you'll see is a 2-person team will come up here first to do what we call recon, or it's what we call our investigation team. They're going to come up to look for the fire if they can find it. So you'll see them come in this door. This door will be closed. This room will be full of smoke. When they open that door, they should only come in to about this point using their thermal imaging cameras. And we don't want them to get in too far. Should, like I talked about, the window breaking or something along those lines, we want them to, they're going to be in here without the protection of a hose line. So we only want them in a few feet, but they're going to be utilizing, the officer will be utilizing that thermal imaging camera to help identify where the fire is. So what they should be able to do, and I'll show you our fire room in a minute, with the thermal imaging camera, they'll be able to tell which room is on fire, because the door frame, which is metal in this building, will be glowing white on the screen, because it's going to be the hottest thing in the room. Here is 1 floor of a high-rise building to simulate an office-style high-rise like we have across the street at 920 Davis. So we've created this hallway with rooms off of both sides that allow us to do 2 things. One, it allows us to do a search for a fire and to train on high-rise fire attack. And then the second thing it lets us do is to conduct search and rescue operations, searching through each one of these offices. So the main purpose of this drill is to go over our high-rise operations should we have a high-rise fire. And you'll see as they come in with their hose lines, they're going to be coming down here looking for the room that's on fire, getting the hose to that fire room, and then after the hose is there, they're going to break off and start searching this area for victims. And then once everything's searched, then the drill will end. So what we're going to do, as soon as we get done with the briefing, the companies will get dispatched. We'll have a simulated dispatch over the radio. And the first units will pull up to this entrance. This is what we call Side A, or Division A of the building. They'll come in, the 2-man investigation team that we talked about will come into the lobby, and what they'll find is this is a simulated fire alarm panel. So all our buildings have, all our high-rise buildings will have a fire alarm panel similar to this, which will have lights on it, which will indicate whether it's in normal condition or if there's a fire. So in this case, we've identified through the red lights here that we have a fire alarm activation on the 4th floor, both the north side of the building and the south side of the building. So what they'll do is come in and talk and identify this, and over the radio to all the inbound fire units will indicate that the fire alarm, we have a fire alarm going off on the 4th floor. And then when they get to that point, they'll come in here, and again, to simulate this being a high-rise building, what we're going to do is send them downstairs, and then they're going to go across, and then they'll walk through the basement, and then they'll come up the other staircase. So when they come up the other staircase, that will be simulating them coming from the 3rd floor up to the 4th floor. That's in that stairwell is where they'll hook into the standpipe system, which we can show you next. So what we did is like we talked about, there's that fire department connection. Engine 7 here is what we call our attack engine. They're the first ones on the scene. The attack engine is the sole purpose of the attack engine back here is to pump the water into the standpipe system under pressure and get the fire attack crew up on the 4th floor water. Engine 1 down here has come in as the second engine on the scene. They're what we call our water supply engine. Their sole job is to hook to the fire hydrant and supply water from the fire hydrant to our attack engine. which then the attack engine pumps into the standpipe. So what we have also going off is the fire alarm system, the actual fire alarm system in the building. We leave this running to add to the realism of the drill. In a real situation with the fire alarm going off, this will be another issue that they have to contend with. This makes it very difficult to listen to the radio, to talk to other fire companies coming in face to face. It adds another element of realism and also adds another element of challenge for the guys to overcome.
Got minor smoke, fourth floor. Go up to the beach there. There's stages by on the way north and
So now they're going to, as I said before, they're going to put their air packs on because they've identified that there's smoke on the fourth floor. They'll make their way in just at short distance using their thermal imaging camera to see if they can identify the location of the fire. This group is not here to extinguish the fire. They're strictly investigating to try to find out what is causing this smoke and identify the location. The firefighter here is taking in a set of hand tools with them in case they need to force entry into doors or in case they need to force their way back out. They're also taking in this water fire extinguisher just for their own protection should they get in there and a fire lights up on them. This gives them the opportunity to put a little bit of water on it and get out. So it's really there for their protection, not to really extinguish any fire.
Recorder, Joe. The answer is inch and 3/4.
I know, but I don't know the answer.
So the officer's taking the time now, laying on the ground underneath the heat and smoke, using the thermal imaging camera to see if he can identify the location of the fire.
Engine 1, inch and 3/4 up to the fourth place.
And you can see, utilizing the thermal imaging camera, it eliminates all the smoke.
Yeah.
So right now, if you look up, you can't see very much, but with the camera, it makes it very clear. Okay.
It's like 30 feet down on the left, maybe 15. Down the hallway on the left? Yeah. Oops, sorry. Elgin Fire is
So at this point, what they're doing is they've identified the location of the fire being about 30 feet down on the left. So now all they're doing is waiting. We just called back to the communication center asking for additional resources to be dispatched to this alarm. So we'll be getting additional resources within the city of Elgin, from other fire stations, as well as from outside fire departments coming in to assist us, because he's confirmed that we have a fire on this floor. So now at this point, it's a wait. They're in a holding pattern, or it's a waiting game for them, waiting for the rest of the crews to come up. All they can do at this point is monitor conditions to see if it gets worse, and if things change, if they need additional equipment, is to call back and get that. But right now, they're waiting for the other 4 firefighters to show up here with the hose line and the other equipment that's necessary.
Okay, we got a landing exitway here that'd be good for the roll. Okay. We'll just leave a guy at the first door here to manage it. Okay. But it'll be totally out of the way if you bring the tail back down there. Sounds good. I'll set this up right here. If you want to get
So,
up there.
I'm gonna get her at this point. Right, so Laura, you can come on in here. So you can see these guys are bringing in the hose line. Come on in, Ben. So he has the hose pack. Lieutenant Carter down here is going to be hooking up the hose line. So he's getting the standpipe ready like we talked about. And This is our high-rise pack, so it comes in with strap. It's all strapped up, and they're going to take part of it out, hand it down to Lieutenant Carter to hook into the standpipe, and then the rest of this will open up, and we'll show you how that works in just a second. Don't worry about it.
Hey, Joe?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'll show you over here.
I just gotta see what's up.
Command.
We're going to walk
Joe
through
wants
here.
on this down here.
And so this is the rest of our high-rise package, specially designed to allow us to, one, carry it up many flights of stairs compactly, and second of all, it's designed to be easily deployed or stretched out as they go into the hallway.
Who do you want on the nut?
What's going to happen is they're going to charge this. This is going to fill very rapidly, and it's going to expand out and pop. And then at that point, everybody will get their masks on, they'll be ready to go, and they'll make their way down the hallway.
Eric's gonna open it.
So now what they're doing is the officer in charge up here is calling back on his radio back to the fire engines that are in the back of the building, hooking to the fire hydrants, to call and say, okay, go ahead and what we call charge the standpipe system or fill it with water. Once they can't do anything until they get water into this hose. And this operation is a long way from the fire hydrant, so it takes some time. That's the other dangerous aspects of high-rise firefighting is, and I think I mentioned this in the beginning, is the amount of time it takes to get everything in operation up to the fire floor, get all the water up there, get everything ready to go before you can proceed.
I got it. All right.
Got it. Gotcha.
You're going to stay back.
So you can see how, because it's in loops, it just flips out, and it makes it very easy to deploy this
I'm
line.
going to take the role of attack group supervisor. We're just taking entrance right now with the attack group.
Go ahead.
Everybody has this under the control relatively quickly. I'll keep it posted. We are getting close to half.
That was deployed perfectly. That's exactly how it should work every time. All right, so what we can do is we can walk this way if you just are careful with the straps around the hose. So now this firefighter is going to stay here to help feed that hose line to our guys.
Nice.
These are two additional firefighters everybody, all 6 guys here are up here for one main purpose, and that is to get this hose line, this nozzle to that fire room. Once that happens, like I said before, then they can start to look at other things such as search and rescue and things like that. We've got to put water on the fire and confine that fire before we start to worry about other things. All right? So you can come down to the corner here, and you can see the heat condition up on the ceiling there, where it's white. The door now is open, so you're getting more heat coming out, and so that's where all your heat is. So now what they're doing is they've got the nozzle down to the fire, and just as a point of note, the hose line you can see here is dark. That's because the water is cold, so it's colder, the hose line is colder than the temperature in the area. So when I was talking about how the difference in color is based on the temperature that's colder than the ambient air. So now they have the nozzle to the fire room. In a real scenario, they'd be putting the fire out, pulling ceilings, opening walls, making sure the fire is not extending anywhere. The gentleman in the middle here where the crosshairs are is the officer in charge of the whole group. He's creating the plan. So what's going to happen now is they're now starting their search and rescue operation. So we still have the nozzle team in the fire room. We have 3 other firefighters now who are going to start doing search and rescue in all the offices.
Under control.
And you can see, again, you can see the difference where we can see these guys very clearly through the thermal imaging camera, but you can only see one if you look without the camera. Now we have these guys working farther down, checking out the rooms down towards the end.
See, go ahead, because you can see, this is how it looks without everything.
So, yeah, so it's harder to see, and this is what we would consider a moderate smoke condition, where we still have a certain level of visibility. The lower we go, the better our visibility is, and that's why firefighters are usually crawling. They're crawling for 2 reasons: 1, to stay below the heat, and 2, to hopefully stay below the smoke level and see more. In this scenario here, this is our fire room. So now you can see the walls inside the room are much warmer or whiter than the walls outside the fire room. This is our fire team. You can see just past the fire, that's one of our propane heaters that's glowing white hot. And that's what's producing all the heat for us. And then these guys, these people down here are finishing their search at the far end of the hallway. Okay, we can step right back. So have you guys searched these rooms?
No, he called me up to here. We bypassed this room.
Okay, then you can stay right there and you can watch how they'll do their search.
All right. Jason, go ahead. Let me get a quick look with the camera real quick. All right.
Every officer, we're very, very fortunate in Elgin. Every officer position has a thermal imaging camera, and so now this officer is using this to search the room quickly to see if he sees any noticeable victims, and then we'll come in. Typically there'd be furniture in here, a desk where we can't see beyond, so they'll come in and still have to do a search of certain areas. But in this situation, there's no furniture. Using the thermal imaging camera, they've been able to identify an all clear, as we call it, meaning there's no victims. And then you can just go to the wall here. They come into this room. In this case, there's 2 rooms here divided by a wall for the thermal imaging, so we've sent a firefighter beyond that wall to do a manual search, come back again, giving all clear to his office. When you have an all clear, we can call the door. Now we've completed a search of the entire high-rise fire floor, reported an all clear, no victims were found, everybody was out. The fire is extinguished, so at this point the drill is over.
Thanks for watching. If you have any ideas, we'd love your input.